Hi, Rich. I thought it'd be best if I answered all your questions together by just quickly putting together a video, which is going to try and answer the questions that you're asking. So the first one was about the sodium sulfate concentration, which you then agreed that you were going to actually control to the acid. But I had a look at your reaction block. So if I right-click on the autoclave and I look at these reactions and I go to the R4 page, which is the sodium carbonate plus sulfuric, I can see you got a concentrate required of 2.75 grams per liter, but you see here you've actually got it for water. So you've selected the incorrect species here. So to fix that, if we just click on Edit RCT, and the reaction file comes up, and now you see it's this one, and you see we've got here final concentration, but we've selected waters there. So let's change that. You just click on there, you get the drop-down list, and we want that to be the sodium sulfate. So I'll just change that to that, and then we save that, and I'll close the reaction editor, and you'll see now that's 2.75 grams per liter of sodium sulfate. So that'll make sure that that all works correctly. So if you can do that in your project as well. Okay, so the next question you're asking about is the acid coming out of the autoclave. So if I right-click on this pipe here, and you go to the SP page, you're right, it's mass flow, so if we want the concentration, we click on that and we get the species concentration. There we go, we select that, and you see that you always change all the species to the view. But even if you change the view away from that, that tag is always available. So you don't have to keep this pipe in the species conc view. You can go and change it, but the controller will always still see that. So here we're going to be looking for the concentration of sulfuric acid. So that's the controller that you're actually looking for. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just show you how we do that controller, and then you can do it yourself. Okay, so to add a controller to control the amount of acid to give me a small excess from the autoclave, I insert unit up here, and there's my insert unit. And I want to insert a controller, so I open out the control and I select a PID. So there's my PID. Now the PID is an orphan unit, so you can position it anywhere at all on the flow sheet. I like to put mine near the thing that it's actually controlling. And we're going to be controlling the acid, so I'm going to put it over here. Okay, so that's my PID controller. Actually, I actually wanted it a bit closer to the acid, so if I say move, and I click move and just click there, and then I drag it up. It'll be a bit closer to where I want it to be. Right, so if I right click on my PNID now, and I get this little window, and the first thing it asks is what's the set point, and that's what are we going to control our acid to, what concentration. I'm going to say 2 grams, so we say 2. Okay, and then what is the measured tag? Now our measured tag is going to be the amount of acid coming out of the autoclave. So the acid in this stream here, in the leach solution. So if I right click on that, and it's this here, sulfuric acid coming out. So I'll copy that. So I can either say Control C or right click and say copy full tag. So I'll use that for the moment. And then click back here and paste that in, which is Control V or right click and paste. So there we go. And OK, and there you can see. Now we have to give it a range, just like on a plant where your instrument engineer will always ask you what is the range. So what is the range for this acid? Well, 0 grams. It can definitely be. Let's say it might go up to 20. I don't know. And this is a bit of, you have to use a bit of experience, I guess. And now what are we going to control? What's the output tag for this controller? We want to control the amount of acid coming in. And just be aware, your output tag must always be a white field because we're going to be right into it. So a white field, a writeable field. So I'll right click on there. And a white field, it's this one here, mass flow required. So that's what I'm going to try and control. So I click on that and Control C. I'm going to copy that and come back to my controller and paste it in with a Control V. There we go. Okay. So, and how much acid do we need? I don't know. I'm going to say a maximum of 5 tons. I'm not sure if that's going to be true or not. Okay. What's left for us is how fast is this controller going to act. Now, an acid controller, I always slow it down because its acid addition is usually quite sensitive. The default was this the gain and proportional band are opposite. The proportional band is what I usually change because it's easier to see. The default is 5. Okay. If you wanted to go slower, you increase that number. Faster, decrease. Let's leave it at 5 for the moment and see how that works. And to watch how this controller controls, I'm going to copy it into the PNI, into the trend window. And I'm going to copy these 3 values here. The set point value used, the measured value, and the output. To do that, I just drag my mouse over those 3 values and then Control C. So I'll copy those and I'm going to just pop them here into the trend window. So drag my mouse over at least 3 lines and Control V. And there they are there. So now when I push run, I can actually see how it's controlling, and not really very well because you can see there, it's putting the 5 tons and there's nothing coming out. So that's too little. The maximum I gave it was too little. And my autoclave's still red because of those reactions are starved. So if I increase my output here, let's say, I don't know, 20 tons, sounds like not a bad number. So we say OK, and we say solve, and let's have a look. And there we go. So it's looking at around about 12, but you can see it's quite sensitive, so it's bouncing. So I don't have to stop Syscat. I can go back to my controller, and I can increase the proportional band. Let's make it 10, say. So that's going to slow it down. So I say OK, and let's see what happens here. So it actually had, there we go. A little better, but still bouncing a bit. And if you want to, I can stop it. You can, if you want to see, we can trend these values. We can actually watch how they change by just clicking once in that little block here on the left. Click here to refresh. And now when I run, you'll actually see how they bounce around. Okay, so 20 was still not good. The 10 wasn't good enough. Let's really slow it down. Let's make that 50. Okay. And there you see, straight away, it's coming and it's solved. So that's what the proportional band or the gain does. It's going to slow down or speed up your controller. Okay, so that's how we do it to concentration. And of course, you can do it to pH as well. So if I right click on here, and let me see if pH is displayed. There it is there. So there's my pH. So if I wanted to change to control it to a certain pH, I would then copy this tag, pH neg log H, because remember it's just an estimate. So copy that full tag, go into this controller, and now instead of measuring the concentration of sulfuric, I'll just paste that new one that I've copied, paste. And there we are. Now we've got the pH. And what pH do we want to control to? Let's say 1.6. I don't know. That sounds like a kind of what's going to give us these things. So now if we run it, we'll see. Okay, it's very unhappy about that. If I have a look here, -2, so there's far too much acid. If I look what the concentration is with that species, sulfuric acid, there we are. Okay, so it's really high, so we wouldn't want it to be that high. And I think it might be the wrong way around. Let's just give that a bash. If I say reverse acting, if the pH goes up. Okay, so sorry, that worked the other way. So what we're saying is if the pH goes up, the amount of acid has to go up as well. So it's what we call a reverse acting controller. And so I had to turn that around and say reverse acting. And there we go. We've now got it as controlling the pH rather than the conc. Rich, I hope that didn't confuse you. And do let me know if you have any questions. Okay, bye.